Okay, so you want to own a food truck fleet, send 5 matching trucks into 5 parts of the city before lunch, and watch one brand make money in several places at the same time. One truck outside an office tower, one at a hospital, one booked for a wedding, one parked beside a brewery, one rolling toward a weekend festival with a line already forming in your imagination. No dining room at every location, no empty tables, no expensive storefront sitting in the wrong neighborhood. The trucks go where the customers are, the customers buy, and the sales come back to you from every direction. That is the dream. And unlike a lot of business fantasies, this one contains something real. A single food truck can only serve one crowd at one moment. If 2 profitable bookings want the same lunch window, a second truck can create revenue the first truck physically cannot reach. But 5 trucks do not give you 5 versions of the same simple business. They give you 5 vehicles, 5 kitchens, several crews, several routes, several sets of inspections, and 5 chances for a small problem to erase an entire service. The first truck may work because you are inside it, solving every mistake before the customer sees it. A fleet has to work while you are somewhere else. So imagine it is Monday morning, just after 5, and all 5 trucks are supposed to leave the same lot within the next hour. The first truck has a recurring office lunch, the second is going to a hospital, the third has a private event that cannot be moved. The fourth is scheduled at a public stop where sales depend entirely on who shows up. The fifth is supposed to be your spare, except a brewery called over the weekend and asked whether you could fill an empty slot. On paper you have a full fleet and a full day. In the lot, one driver has not arrived. One refrigerator is showing a warning. The private client increased the expected headcount after the food order was placed. The hospital wants service 15 minutes earlier than usual, and the 5th truck has not been cleaned since the late event the night before. This is the first thing the public does not see. A food truck fleet does not begin when the service window opens. It begins in the dark, at the fixed place every truck has to leave from, with enough food, water, equipment, people, and time to make the day possible. The mobile business has a hidden address. The United States Census definition for mobile food services treats the establishment as the central location from which the route is serviced. That sounds like a technical sentence. In practice, it means the truck is only the visible end of a larger operation. Food has to be received and stored. Ingredients have to be prepared and portioned. Fresh water has to be loaded. Wastewater and grease have to go somewhere legal. Utensils have to be washed. Refrigeration has to be checked. Every truck has to come back, get cleaned, get restocked, and become ready to leave again. In some places, that support base is not optional. Los Angeles County, for example, requires a commissary location to be verified before a mobile food facility permit is issued. Austin directs certain wastewater and grease disposal through approved systems. The exact rule changes by city, county, and state. The larger fact does not. The customer sees a kitchen on wheels. The owner sees a fleet that keeps returning to the same sink, the same storage, the same prep tables, and the same dispatch board. That fixed base is part of what Simone Fancher eventually built around Cheesy Chick. She began with one used food truck. Demand grew, and the business added a trailer and another truck, reaching 3 mobile units. From the outside, that looks like the clean version of expansion. One unit works, so the business adds more capacity, but the trucks remained exposed to weather and seasons. The business later opened a cafe, not because mobility had no value, but because mobility alone did not make the cash flow steady. The cafe created year-round sales and full-time work for employees. Keep that in mind, because the most revealing part of fleet ownership is not why an operator adds the second truck. It is what the operator eventually has to build around the trucks to keep them useful. Before that can happen, you have to buy them. A new made-to-order food truck can cost somewhere around $75,000 to $150,000. That is one truck. 5 new trucks at that range put somewhere between $375,000 and $750,000 into the vehicles alone. And vehicles alone is the dangerous phrase. You may still need exterior branding, small equipment, point-of-sale systems, opening inventory, insurance deposits, permits, inspections, employee recruiting, training, storage, commissary access, and enough cash to cover payroll and repairs while the booking calendar is still thin. Some quotes include most of the kitchen, some do not. Some trucks arrive ready for the local code, others need changes before an inspector will approve them. You can buy used and lower the entry price. Used trucks are often advertised somewhere around $40,000 to $80,000. But a used food truck is not just a used truck, it is a used commercial kitchen attached to a used vehicle. The engine can be worn while the cooking equipment looks perfect. The kitchen can be clean while the electrical system is wrong for the appliances you need. The vehicle can have passed inspection somewhere else and still require expensive changes where you plan to operate. And if you buy 5 different used trucks with 5 different layouts, generators, refrigerators, and repair histories, you have not copied one operating system 5 times. You have created 5 separate systems that happen to wear the same logo. The cheaper fleet can still be the harder fleet. By Monday morning, that difference becomes visible. The refrigerator warning on truck number 2 is not merely an appliance problem. If the food cannot be held safely, the truck cannot serve. If the truck cannot serve, the hospital does not receive the meal option it scheduled. The crew still arrived. The food was already purchased. The host may remember that your brand failed to show up. One failure reaches farther than the repair invoice. This is where ownership also needs to be understood correctly. In an independent fleet, you may own the vehicles, equipment, recipes, brand, customer list, and booking relationships. You may lease the commissary rather than own it. You do not own the curb outside the office tower. You do not own the hospital parking area. You do not own the brewery crowd or the festival field. Access belongs to a city, landlord, event organizer, or private host who can decide whether your trucks are allowed to sell there. A franchise can change the package, but not that basic reality. You may own the local operating company and the trucks while receiving contractual permission to use another company's name, menu, territory, and system. That can provide recognition and tested procedures. It can also add fees, approved suppliers, reporting rules, and limits on what you can change. You own the local operation. You do not own the entire brand, and you still need legal, profitable places for the trucks to work. Mobility is not the same thing as access. New York City, for example, separates the license held by the operator from the permit held by the mobile unit, and some categories of permits have been legally limited. A permit fee may look small. The ability to obtain the right permit and use the right location can be the scarce part. So, by the time your 5 trucks are ready to move, the question is no longer where are the crowds? It is, which crowds can you legally reach, at a useful time, on terms that leave money behind? The Monday office lunch is one kind of answer. The host gives you a known place and a recurring time. You still sell one meal at a time, but the office manager has already gathered the customers into one building. The private event is another. A wedding, company gathering, birthday, school function, or celebration may come with a deposit, agreed meal count, package price, or minimum payment. The event does not become profitable automatically, but some of the demand is known before the truck leaves the lot. The public stop is different. You choose the place, prepare the food, send the crew, and hope the crowd appears during the few hours that matter. Then there is the festival. Thousands of people may be present, but the crowd is not free. One recent food truck festival in the Poconos charged vendors $250 and required insurance documents naming the event operator as an additional insured. It also warned vendors to prepare for outdoor weather rather than assuming ordinary rain would cancel the event. That is one event, not a universal fee, but it shows the arrangement clearly. You can pay for access, commit inventory and labor, and still leave the result exposed to weather, attendance, competition, and the speed of your own kitchen. The biggest crowd can be the most expensive place to discover that your service is too slow. Say one truck serves 120 customers during a strong window. The average customer spends $18. Gross sales reach $2,160. The line looked impressive. The register barely stopped. Someone posts a video of the crowd, and the truck appears to be having an extraordinary day. Now follow the money instead of the line. The National Restaurant Association reported that limited service restaurant operators in its latest data had median food, beverage, and labor costs equal to 65 cents of each sales dollar. That is a broader limited service benchmark, not a food truck average, so here it is only a stress test for how quickly sales can shrink. Applied to this service, those costs consume about $1,400. $756 remains. Assume the site charged $200. Cart processing takes about $65. Fuel, commissary use, insurance allocation, routine maintenance, cleaning supplies, and other direct truck costs receive another $250. The service that rang up more than $2,000 now has about $241 left before truck financing, central office costs, taxes, owner compensation, spoilage, or a major repair. Nothing catastrophic happened. The crowd arrived, the truck opened, the food sold. That is what makes the number uncomfortable, and the line itself may be hiding another problem. A queue can mean strong demand. It can also mean weak throughput. The truck has limited cooking space, limited refrigeration, limited hands, and one narrow place to pass food to the customer. A large menu may raise the average ticket while slowing the grill. increasing waste and trapping the crew in complicated orders. If the lunch rush lasts 90 minutes, the truck does not own the whole day. It owns 90 valuable minutes, surrounded by loading, driving, setup, teardown, cleaning, and return time. Every order that takes too long reduces the number of customers the truck can serve before the crowd goes back upstairs. A 10-hour shift can depend on one short window. By Tuesday, the fleet owner thinks the answer is obvious. The office lunch sold well, the private client was happy. The brewery wants another date. 2 people called asking whether the company can serve simultaneous events next month. This is exactly why the second, third, and fifth truck exist. One vehicle cannot occupy 2 places at once, and fleets can create real efficiencies. Several trucks can share one booking system, one payroll process, one marketing brand, and one central prep operation. Ingredients can be purchased in larger quantities. Sauces and portions can be standardized. Employees can be trained on the same menu. A truck that is missing one item may be supplied from another. Maintenance can be scheduled across the fleet instead of handled as a series of surprises. This is not fake scale. It is the reason the fleet can work, but only if you copy the profitable part of the first truck. The first truck may have looked profitable because the owner was doing 4 jobs and charging the business for none of them. You drove before sunrise, cooked through lunch, answered catering messages during cleanup, bought ingredients at night, and fixed scheduling problems on the weekend. That labor was real. It simply did not appear as a full expense. The next truck forces the hidden job into the open. Someone else needs the keys. Someone else needs to arrive on time, drive safely, protect the food, follow the recipe, control portions, handle the register, clean the kitchen, report problems, and return the vehicle. Once several trucks leave in different directions, you are no longer running a food truck. You are running people who run food trucks. On Wednesday, the employee who missed Monday leaves a message saying they cannot work the weekend festival. The private event wants to add another hour. The hospital asks for a second day. The brewery wants exclusivity during its busiest evening. Every opportunity looks like revenue. Every opportunity also needs a truck, a crew, inventory, preparation, travel time, and a place in the same week. This is where fleet owners can mistake motion for growth. The schedule is full of messages. The trucks are moving, employees are working, food is being purchased, gross sales are rising, but the owner may still not know which truck, on which day, at which location, is leaving enough money to justify the entire system behind it. Then Thursday creates the problem that reveals the business. The office wants its regular lunch, a corporate client wants a catered event at the same time. Both are likely to produce a positive result. The fifth truck makes it possible to accept both, but that same fifth truck has no booking on Friday. It has nothing reliable on Monday. It may work one festival next weekend, then sit through several weekdays while the payment, insurance, commissary space, and maintenance obligations continue. This is the central trap in fleet expansion. The moment that proves one truck is too small is not necessarily the same thing as enough demand to support another truck. A second truck does not merely need a second event. It needs a second profitable service window, then another. After that, consider 5 trucks across 7 days. On paper, the fleet has 35 possible truck days. Some should be reserved for maintenance. Some backup capacity can protect important bookings. But imagine only 14 of those truck days contain work expected to leave a positive contribution after food, labor, site fees, travel, and the direct cost of operating the truck. The fleet looks large. The productive calendar does not. This is the answer that has been hiding behind the vehicles from the beginning. The scarce resource is not another truck. Trucks can be bought. The scarce resource is a dense calendar of legal, repeatable, profitable places to send them. That changes how every booking should be judged. Saturday is where the math becomes personal. The fleet has 2 important bookings. One truck is promised to a private celebration with a known guest count. Another is committed to a festival that required a fee, extra inventory, and a larger crew. The festival could produce the biggest sales total of the week. It could also be weakened by rain, competing vendors, or a crowd that arrives at the wrong time. Then the festival truck will not start. The kitchen is stocked. The employees are standing beside it. The event is opening without you. The private celebration begins later, which means its truck is still in the lot. For a moment, the fleet appears to have solved the problem. You own another mobile kitchen, you can move the food, move the crew, and save the larger event. But doing that would put the private booking at risk. That client did not pay for whichever truck happened to remain available. The client paid for your company to arrive when promised. The festival may offer the larger crowd. The private event may offer the more reliable payment and the relationship most likely to book again. This is no longer a cooking decision, it is a decision about which promise the fleet is built to protect. A disciplined owner may keep the private booking intact, accept the lost festival opportunity, and use the failure to improve maintenance and backup planning. Another owner may chase the crowd, save the larger-looking sales day, and damage the quieter relationship that was actually filling the calendar. The broken truck did not create that weakness, it exposed it. A fleet gives the owner options, but only when those options were planned before the failure. A spare truck that is clean, compatible, and ready can protect a booking. A truck that happens to be parked but uses different equipment, carries the wrong menu, or has no available crew, is not real backup. It is an expensive object in the same lot. A distant festival may produce higher gross sales than a recurring office lunch. It may also require a longer drive, an event fee, more employees, extra inventory, a longer service day, and a late return. The office lunch may look smaller. It may be 10 minutes from the commissary, use a simple menu, require less labor, and repeat every week. The loudest booking can leave less useful money. The better measure is contribution per truck day. What the booking leaves after the food, packaging, direct service labor, site costs, card fees, travel, and other direct trip expenses before the fleet's central overhead and owner return. And once you see the business that way, the most valuable customer begins to change. The person buying one meal matters. The host controlling access to hundreds of possible meals may matter more. An office manager, hospital administrator, school, factory, brewery, venue, or private event organizer can put a truck in front of a known group at a known time. The host does not guarantee profit. Distance, menu, fee, service speed, and staffing still decide the result. But a reliable host can fill the calendar in a way that individual walk-up customers cannot. The fleet is not only serving diners, it is building repeatable access to diners. That is what Cheesy Chick's expansion helps explain. The business grew from one used truck to 3 mobile units because demand existed, but the operator did not stop at more vehicles. The cafe added steadier cash flow and year-round work. During the pandemic, the mobile side adapted, again, serving neighborhoods, private celebrations, non-profit partners, hospitals, and people working unusual hours. Later, the company considered a building that could combine a commercial kitchen, truck base, and cafe. The lesson is not that every fleet needs a restaurant. The lesson is that a durable fleet usually needs more than vehicles. It needs a stable operating center and several kinds of demand that do not all fail for the same reason at the same time. Now return to the 5-truck week. In the strong version, the office and hospital stops repeat. Private catering fills selected evenings. The brewery is close enough to the commissary that travel does not consume the margin. Festivals are accepted only when the expected volume, fee, staffing, and menu make sense. The trucks use similar layouts and the same core ingredients. Crews can move between vehicles without relearning the entire kitchen. Maintenance is scheduled before a warning light becomes a canceled event. One truck can rotate through service or backup without most of the fleet sitting idle. The owner knows which bookings create contribution and which merely create impressive sales. The same fleet can have a weak version. The trucks were purchased after several sold-out weekends, before recurring demand existed. Each vehicle has different equipment. The menu changes for every event. The territory is so wide that employees spend hours driving without selling anything. Most revenue depends on weather-sensitive weekends. During the week, the trucks sit. When a large event appears, the owner sees the crowd and ignores the fee, travel, and extra labor. When a manager leaves, the owner returns to the kitchen. When one truck breaks, the company loses the booking it most needed to keep. Both businesses can post photographs of 5 branded trucks. Only one has built a system that deserves them. So, does owning a food truck fleet work? It can, but the first truck has to prove more than popularity. It has to prove that real money remains after food, labor, travel, fees, maintenance, and the owner's work are counted. The next truck needs enough overlapping demand to stay useful beyond one exciting event. The routes need to be compact. The menu needs to be fast and repeatable. The central kitchen and purchasing system need to create actual savings. Crews need to operate without constant rescue. Debt and fixed costs need to remain survivable during weak weeks. And the calendar needs enough recurring hosts and profitable private bookings that the fleet is not waiting for one crowded Saturday to save the month. At the beginning, you pictured 5 mobile kitchens spreading across the city, each one opening a window and creating another stream of sales. What you would really own is the hour before they leave. The keys on the board, the food in the coolers, the employee who has to arrive, the permit that gives access, the host who expects you to show up, the repair that cannot wait, and the empty square on next week's calendar that still has to be filled. The trucks are the part everyone sees. The business is everything that has to be true before those windows can open.